It's that time of year again when pumpkins are everywhere, so I'm going to show you some easy pumpkin related recipes. The first recipe I'm going to show you is pumpkin pie, which is an autumn classic. First off, you're going to need to preheat your oven to 200 degrees C and then get your hands on some pastry. You can make this, but this pre-made pastry was on offer in Morrison's, so I just got this. So roll out your pastry, unless it's already rolled like mine, in that case just sort of unfold it. And then you're going to need to get your hands on an oven safe plate or a pie dish and use your pastry to line your plate. And I had some difficulty doing this one-handed while holding a camera. Trim the edges of your pastry and then use the excess pastry you've just cut off to make sure the plate or dish is completely covered. Then pop it in the oven for 20 minutes. Next you're going to need to chop up your pumpkin. This one was 50p from Morrison's and it's medium sized apparently, but I think it's quite small. Make sure you peel it and take out all of the guts inside and then chop it into chunks and pop it on a baking tray. Then this also goes in the oven for 20 minutes. For the rest of the filling, you're going to need to take 2 eggs and the yolk of another egg and then whisk them together lightly. Then in a pan, put 75 grams of soft dark brown sugar, then put all of your spices, which is cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, ginger and mixed spice. Then add 275 millilitres of cream or milk and bring this to simmer. Once your pumpkin's finished roasting, you need to make it into a puree and then add this with your egg to the other wet mixture. Make sure this is completely mixed together, then reduce the temperature of the oven and add the liquid mixture onto your pastry base. I made a little pumpkin out of the excess pastry to put on top as well and then pop it in the oven for 35 minutes. And there you have it. This didn't actually taste as good as I imagined it to because the texture is a bit like a mousse. Although it was quite a faff to make, I'm glad that I did and I'm glad that I've tried it. Next up we have pumpkin cupcakes. Turn your oven back up to 200 degrees and roast half a pumpkin chopped up again. This recipe is really weird because it doesn't contain butter, so in a bowl you have to mix sugar, some oil and your eggs. I then added the pumpkin and the water and then promptly realised that you were meant to blend the pumpkin beforehand, so I took all the mixture out and put it in a blender. You then add all the dry ingredients, so the flour, bicarbonate of soda and all of the spices and chocolate chips. Scoop them into cupcake cases and then pop them in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes. Next up for my favourite recipe out of all of these, which is pumpkin soup. I wanted to go with the orange theme, so I added some carrots as well, and basically you just need to get all of your vegetables, cut them up, pop them in a pan and fry them in butter until they're soft and then add stock and you are done. If you want it to be a bit creamier you can add some milk, and I chose to blend it as well to get rid of the lumps of vegetables. Another really easy savoury one for you, which is pumpkin curry. This is very similar to soup because you just chop up your vegetables, fry them in a big wok or frying pan until they're soft. I added some corn as well, or some chicken if you want to add some meat in there. Then when it's all soft, add your curry sauce, I chose a Balti, and then you're pretty much done. Now onto the seasonal classic pumpkin spice latte, but I don't like coffee, so I decided to make a tea version, which is pumpkin spice chai latte. For this you need to add all of your spices to water and then bring to the boil. Then as soon as it starts boiling, leave it to sit for 5 minutes, then add your tea and some syrup, bring it to the boil, leave it to sit for 5 minutes again, then strain it through a fine sieve or a clean tea towel. This is another thing that's really difficult to do with one hand while holding a camera in the other hand. And be warned, this will probably stain your tea towel. Then in another pan, bring to the boil some milk, more syrup and a sprinkling of cinnamon. Add in some more pureed roasted pumpkin. Then take this off the heat as soon as the milk starts bubbling around the edges, and then you're supposed to use an immersion blender to make it really frothy, and I don't know what one of those is or own one, so I just kept mixing it for a bit until it got as frothy as I could. Then add your frothy milk to your tea and serve with a sprinkling of cinnamon. If you're going to recreate this, I would recommend straining the milk as well because it was quite lumpy. After all these recipes, I did still have some pureed pumpkin left, so I decided to make a pumpkin and banana smoothie. I just also added a banana, some cinnamon and some milk and some honey into the blender, and there is a smoothie. Pumpkin's surprisingly sweet, so this kind of worked well with the banana. If you'd rather carve your pumpkin than eat it, here's what you can do with all of the insides after you've finished carving your pumpkin. Pick out your seeds and give them a rinse. Then cover them in olive oil, salt and some mixed spice, and then roast them for about 10 minutes until they're golden. And I forgot that the steam from the oven would also steam up the camera as well as my glasses. You can eat these as a snack on their own or use them as garnishing or decoration for some of the other recipes we've used. I personally wasn't a fan of these because they were very oily and very salty, but other people that tried them liked them. So here you have your pumpkin related feast, but if you still have leftovers after using these recipes, i.e. the gooey bits on the inside of the pumpkin, enter from stage right me from 2 years ago with my pumpkin face mask recipe. By doing all of these, you will use every part of your pumpkin, so none of it will go to waste. I hope you have a spooky Halloween, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!